the country, across the spectrum, doing different things, because we want all y'all to know that we want to keep these conversation going. I am going to, my segment is called From Behind the Microphone. I go third week of the month. Make sure y'all here in August. I'm not going to say anything more than this right now. I've got something really special planned. So at this point, I am going to kick it to the girl genius so she can talk to you about her evening. It was a pleasure seeing everyone this evening. Bye-bye.
Hey y'all, I'm Girl Genius. I am, yes, some other member of the collective. It's always like third, fourth, fifth. No, just we're here in the collective. So my week I do Let's Talk About the Book, where I pulled an author, generally a poet. I have a non-poet coming in next go around, but we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But I pull in a poet or an author and basically talk to them about their book, their writing process, pick their brains a little bit, because that's what I do. Yeah, this is about to be the fourth go round. I'm really excited that we've kept the platform on, you know, through everything, and that we can keep pushing it forward. We've had some really great guests so far. I'm excited about tonight. I haven't seen these two lovely people in like forever and 50,000 years. So super, super excited. But right now I'm going to toss it over to Charity to talk about her segment. Except you're muted. There you go.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Girl Genius, for kicking it to me. Jerry never kicks it to me, so it's great to get kicked to by you or KaNikki, because it's never by Sherry. My name is Charity Blackwell. Fourth part of this collective. Keep the mic on. My nights are my session is titled Art Therapy. So basically, I try to bring in artists to use their art as a platform for healing, whether that's for themselves or people that they are trying to reach. And yeah, I've been able to bring in some really awesome people who share their truths and get vulnerable and get deep with us. And it's been a really healing process for me. And I hope for everyone that watches and also participates. So it's really dope. Yeah, we are 4 weeks in. I love doing this event with my sisters, you know what I mean? But I also look forward to, when we get out of these weird times, to continuing to hold this space in real life as well. So it's very much neat and it's really awesome, super intentional. All right, cool. So let me kick it to the one and only, your host also for the evening, the amazing KaNikki.
Charity, appreciate you. I like to be getting kicked it too. Thank you very much. Charity is like the best hostess ever. I love when she says my name, KaNikki. KaNikki, give it up for KaNikki, and everybody gives it up. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, thank you very much for joining us for another Keep the Mic On, making your Sundays awesome. Today, I have the honor and the pleasure to feature and interview these amazing poets who I met as Cuban and Miss Wise. And my platform is called Poets and Platforms. So I like to talk to poets who provide platforms for the art and genre, and for them, mostly for the children. So I'm gonna start with reading both of their bios, a little short piece to let you guys know what awesomeness that we have tonight. So Camden, New Jersey native, currently residing in LA, the author of Carnival. Aleysha Wise Hernandez is a poet, teaching artist, and TEDx speaker. She is the founder of Spoken Literature Art Movement, an organization providing poetry, education, and extensive programming for poets, and teaching artists for Streets Poets, a nonprofit mostly serving juvenile involved youth. Aleysha served as the Poetry Lounge Slam Team head coach from 2017 and 18, coaching both teams to the final stage at the National Poetry Slam. She is also the Get Lit Ignite Youth Slam Team coach from 2014 to 2017. She is a two-time Women of the World Poetry Slam finalist and has been featured on different platforms and publications known as OWN, Huffington Post, Afro Funk, PBS, BuzzFeed, and more. And sitting next to her, we have Matthew Cuban Hernandez. He is a poet, an MC, a speaker, and performance coach from Jacksonville, Florida. The author of 3032, a debut poetry collection that explores his path in educating incarcerated youth. He has toured as far as Abu Dhabi and nearly every other major city in the United States and Europe, performing, teaching, and coaching poetry. He is open for artists such as the Wu-Tang and has performed on platforms such as BuzzFeed and NPR. Give it up right now for give it up wherever you are on Facebook and in Zoom. Give it up for these awesome, awesome people.
Hey,
Poets.
What's up, y'all?
Thank you guys for joining us today. Your bios are like extensive, right? So, when I met you guys, you didn't have all this on your bio. You've been busy. You understand? Very, very busy. So, Aleysha, should I call you Aleysha? Should I call you Miss Wise? Let me call you what you want the people.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. It's all good. I mean, I was just saying a little while ago, I get so happy when people who know me from the East Coast still call me Miss Wise. So it's whichever one you're fine with.
Okay, I'm gonna call you both. Like I do, my husband 13, I'd be like 13, husband, bae, Mr. Mix. I call him all these names. So I'm gonna do that in here so these people can get to know you. So after hearing your bio read aloud, do you feel accomplished, or is it another type of feeling that happens?
I always feel awkward, and I think that speaks on a lot. It speaks on just like that whole, I don't know if it's imposter syndrome. I don't know if it's just because poets think they have to be like super humble all the time, but I know it's a quote unquote flaw I have, the fact that every time my bio is read, I'm like, it's really weird, but I'm grateful, very grateful.
Yeah, same over here.
You feel awkward too?
Yeah, and I'm always like listening to it and be like, I need to edit this or update it. That don't need to be in there.
Because because you're still doing things, so then your bio becomes more and more outdated as you know.
It's a living document for sure.
Yeah, somebody was reading my bio and they were talking about a play that I was in. I was in a play one time. I was like, where in the world did you find that from like 1918? I don't know. It was like, talk about the play. I was like, what play? Oh yeah, I did that like in 2000. It's 20 years later. I don't even remember that. Yeah. But yeah, so I feel you guys, I met you both separately. I found out that you were together on social media. What? Watched your wedding on social media, little clippings that Asia had done. So yeah, I am so excited to have you guys. I'm glad that you said yes. And I know that we are in for an awesome and amazing treat tonight. So I'm going to ask each one of you to give us a poem because, poetry. So coming right now to your screen area, who's going first? That you right here, Cuban, you going first?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll go first. She done went and grabbed the cat.
My cat's annoying. He's like, he was outside the door, like, open up the door. So I had to go.
Yeah, our cat's a jerk. He wanted to spit some poems in here too. He like, tell him the one I wrote about. Meow, 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 meow. All right. So this is after Alberto Rios. The border is banana flavored candy. It's licorice. Who likes this shit? It's spoiled milk. It's milk, clumpy and sour and calling itself cheese, saying it makes my sandwiches better, calling my PB&J unwelcome. It calls from unknown numbers at 7 a.m. Says someone is stealing my credit. It says I don't have credit with them. Says I ran out of insurance. Says my mother owes them money and they want it from her grave. It calls again at 9 a.m. Says it's on East Coast time. Says it's on his own time and then calls again from different unblocked numbers. The border is pushy, needy, always acting out for attention, always off task or turning in assignments late or not at all. The border's parents came in for a teacher conference. The border's mother is confused, doesn't understand why we make her child out to be such a nuisance. Says at home, around our people, the border is the life of the party, cleans up after itself and never disrespects her. The border's father didn't show up. The border's father is drunk at a bar in the afternoon afternoon trying to forget, trying to figure out ways to build a border around his border, trying to understand his child. Tonight, he'll go home to the border he calls son, wake it out of its rest, make it dance. The border's father will say things like, do that trick I taught you, do it, make everyone disappear, make everyone feel so unseen that they vanish from our sight. The border knows many tricks, many scams. Its parents were grifters, swindlers. The border wants to be something more, something different, but it's that same old impasse, and it doesn't change or know if it can. So its sunrise and its sunsets become its children, and it watches them dance for a secret hour every day.
Wow. Wow. That's right. You better snap for him. Wow. Wow.
Tag.
Yeah. High five. Me too. Me too. Down there. Right.
Okay. Oh, I'm not gonna do that. Okay. This is dedicated to all the boys back home, where I'm from, Camden, New Jersey. All the boys from my hood are angry, and I know their secrets. All the boys from my hood whistle when I walk by, call the boys who don't whistle all the boys from my hood like to be called a man. All the boys from my hood want a girl to pretend to be a woman. All the boys lean against the barbershop on Hatton Ave, the wall with all the bullet holes. All them boys could be gone today, but all them boys too tough to say, I love you. I love you, man. I love you, bro, cause that be gay, nigga, cause that ain't cool, like, correct, like, come on, like, God wouldn't like it, like, lady on lady, nah, my Bible said that's different, like, what? The boys from my hood pray to God when big homie take a hit. Prayer hands on tees, prayer hands on white tees don't apply to the queer boy, right? Huh? All the boys from my hood are trapped inside a glass house their great-great-grandfather built. They so stuck, so stiff, so set, I guess, but I know their secrets. I keep them locked inside my jaw when a straight boy demands my number, and yes, it's the only safety I know. All the boys from my block need a booster. All the boys pull up and AMA and push-ups and punch shit and punch walls and punch women and drink the bottle to the bottom. All the boys empty. All the boys ain't hug another boy with the lights on in years and never. All the boys from my hood wish to represent. All the boys say, hey, yo, keep that gay stuff over there, like they gonna catch something. Well, what you got your hands out for? I know their secrets. I know they weep. I know they seek and open when the door locks. All the boys do not represent all the boys, but they like to take up enough space to fill, but not feel.
Wow. Wow. I can't even say, I have to mute myself when you guys are both doing the poem because I'll be over here like, I'll be interrupting the poem because, you know, I'm from the South and we just talk when people, you know, I'm from the South. You know, when you're from the South, you be like, go ahead, you know, while the person is talking. Yeah, and I don't want to interrupt y'all.
We want
South, yeah.
You know, that's born and raised.
I say that it is so good to hear you, Aleysha. It has been a while since I've heard you read anything. It's been a while since I've seen you guys in person. I think y'all were here for Brave New Voices, and I don't know what year that was. That's been a while ago, but I have to say I had my daughter with me at the time, and she's very into, you know, she's on her phone all the time or whatever. And when we were there, it was just so good. We were sitting in the audience, 13 and then I bumped him and said, she's not on her phone. Like she was like totally, you know, in tune to what was going on. And I mean, if you can make you put your phone down, that is amazing. That is amazing. So I see you guys are still both doing it. You still marry words together that haven't been together before, and the presentation is still a wow factor for both of you. But I'm gonna try to like get a little too like separately like interview you both. But you know, I'm gonna talk to the women first because you know ladies are first. So I'm gonna talk to Aleysha first, and then so Cuban, you just sit there and nod. Okay, all right. So, Miss Wise, how is the pandemic affecting your writing process, or is it? Are you writing right now?
I am, finally. In the beginning of the pandemic, I was stuck. It's just, I didn't know how to process the emotions. Everything I think was kind of brand new. Like, I don't think any of us have dealt with a pandemic, you know, anybody living right now. I mean, maybe some older folk, I don't know. Look at me, I sound really ignorant. Anyway, the point is, overall, I don't think we had to deal with a moment in our lives where we had to be like stuck in a house. We're dealing with a virus on top of race relation, like all types of stuff. And it's just, I was like, I don't want to write. I don't feel like responding to the times right now. I respect to Audrey, I just didn't feel like writing a poem, you know, to go with how I felt. I just wanted to sit and do nothing and just breathe and or try to catch my breath. Point is, after a while, I just, I think after a while, I hope that it's not that I got used to it. I don't think that is, I'm pretty sure. But I think at this point, I'm like, look, we're in this rhythm, we're doing this thing. Life is happening or not, whatever you want to call it. And I think after taking that break, the artist in me just naturally came back and was like, okay, you rested, now you're ready. And I'm grateful for poets who continue to create platforms online for us to share. Because if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the job, you know, the nonprofit we work for, Street Poets, that does a workshop every week, I probably wouldn't still be exercising my pen or wanting to continue to write. So yeah, thank you and thank y'all, because I think that really helped us to continue to just create space and to do the work and create beautiful poems.
Yeah. I think somebody asked when we were on here before, I think this was here, but they said, is it the responsibility of the artist to write about the times now? Is it, is it like, it's our responsibility to do it, you know, that we have to do it? And I think it was Nina Simone who said the artists are the people who write the times. So, you know, like.
Yeah, okay, Nina, I said Audrey.
It's like in our, you know, people are going to listen to the art, right? They're going to read the poems, they're going to listen to the songs, and, you know, you're going to know how you felt when things, and I mean, we are the people who give the people the voice that they doesn't have a voice to be able to express. So, but sometimes, you know, we don't want to talk. Sometimes we don't want to pen what's going on. So I think it's not our responsibility, but, you know, I think even if we're writing for ourselves to get those emotions out, it's still
right. It's like, don't force it. You feel me? Like, yeah, reflect the times, but like, if you feel like you're forcing it out of like responsibility and duty, it's like, how are you good? You know? And like, yeah, I have to ask it's like somebody else, it's plenty of us, you know, we're going to get the work done. So yeah.
That is good. I'm glad you said it's plenty of us, so that the responsibility doesn't fall on a one poet's shoulder, right?
Right.
It's
right.
plenty of us. So tell us what a teaching artist is, and talk a little bit about street poets and the spoken literature art movement a little bit. People don't know what a teaching artist is, so tell us.
I'm glad you asked this question. So a teaching artist to me is someone who knows enough about their craft that they can teach the work and teach it to, you know, whatever audience wants to be taught. And I'm glad you asked this, because a moment of transparency, I was first asked, I remember, to teach my first workshop before I was thoroughly prepared to teach anything. There was so much I still needed to learn. And I know sometimes we kind of just throw ourselves into the fire and just say, okay, let's just do this. But when it comes to this craft, I feel like poetry is still trying to find its place in the world. It's everywhere. So many people use it and need it. And yet at the same time, it's so disrespected and overlooked in a lot of ways. Yeah, which is a metaphor for a lot of things. But anyway, the point is, I remember being asked to do a workshop when I was like my early 20s, and I was not prepared, but I said yes, because I was like, okay, sure, this is exciting. And it was terrible. My first couple workshops were absolute. I remember some off the top of my head that was terrible. And I just wish that someone would have prepared me. I wish, not even, you know, I may not know everything. I think people even now who teach a lot, sometimes we don't have all the answers. We don't know everything, but at least we're prepared to deliver what we need to deliver. I was not, and I wish I had mentors and stuff. So to really answer your question, a teaching artist is somebody who knows enough and is prepared enough to teach that that material in that moment, or for moments, I should say. So right now I feel good and I feel prepared enough to teach. We teach a series of workshops with spoken literature art movement. Our organization is pretty much an organization that teaches poetry and writing workshops, but we mostly geared towards community. So community is the key word, and I'll let Matthew add on when I'm sure he's going to talk about it, but we are all about the the human being a better person. So we're not necessarily trying to make you an activist. You don't have to change the world coming here, but you have to make sure that you know that the art is bigger than you. Don't come here to this workshop if you're just trying to build your ego or win a slam tomorrow. What are you doing to like really use your work to do some major shit, if I could be blunt. And street poets, I'll let Matthew talk about street poets because he does a lot more as far as like, he's a director of camp programming. So I feel like he could speak a whole lot on that more than I can, but street poets is dope. And we do very similar work to spoken literature art, but slightly different. So yeah.
Okay. I read that you compare most of the world to the circus carnival. Is that why you titled your poetry collection Carnival?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us what we can expect if we purchase this product. Like, what is it about?
Well, for starters, it's not available anymore on the publisher's website. It's out of print, but I think you can still get it online. So like if you just Google it, Carnival Aleysha Wise, you'll find it. But the book is a book of mostly retired poems. Not all, some of them I really love a whole lot. But a lot of the poems in here, it doesn't mean I won't perform it anymore. It's just mean that I've learned a lot as an artist and just through my journey since then. So I told a lot of family business in that book. It was not easy. I was super nervous. But one thing I'm grateful for is that writing those poems, no matter how I feel about them artistically now, it was a risk I took. I remember my mother reading that book, and I talk a lot about our relationship. And it's not the first time we've been there where I talked about our relationship in a poem, but it's the first time she sat down in front of me and read some of the poems. And it ached. It was very hard. But she read it and she thanked me, and it made our relationship a lot stronger. And I think it did that with a lot of my family members, and they're still asking for the book to this day. And I'm like, no, I don't want to give it to you. I'm done with this book. But I'm very grateful for it. I'm grateful I let it out, and I'm ready to move past that. But yeah, it was healing.
That's right. So when is the next book coming? Are you working on it right now?
I am. I'm working on it, and I'm shopping for a publisher. So I'm taking my time. I learned through many terrible CDs that I do not want to rush work anymore. So I want to take my time, but I also don't want to move like a snail. So I'm going to, I'm working on it, and I'm ready. And I think as soon as a publisher that feels comfortable enough comes along, I'm going to take that deal. And I think I have enough material to produce something.
I'm sure you do. I like too that you spoke about, moving past poetry, because I think a lot of times as poetry, especially performance poetry, when people hear you perform it, it invokes some type of feeling for them, or they like the way the rhythm is, and they want to hear it over and over, when a lot of these poems that we write are personal experiences that we have and we don't want to experience anymore.
Yeah.
So you have to let me grow, let the artist grow, let me move past that poetry. So I like the fact that you did touch on that. So, and we're definitely going to be looking forward to the next project. So tell us how we can support you.
You can support by, you can find us on spoken_lit on IG. That's Matthew and I's baby right now, the organization we built on our own. So that means a whole lot. We're only like 3 years old. So if you follow Spoken Lit, that is a way to support. Also, we've been just doing a lot of work. And if you can just show up for each other. That's the best I can say. I'm trying to find like the perfect words here, but follow Spoken Lit and show up when you can. And if you can't, we'll see you next time. But that's all we ask for. I think we've been put in this position for many, many reasons, doing this online stuff. And let's try our best to turn on that screen. And even if you have to multitask, show the homie that you're there for them, and yeah, just show up.
Awesome. And I have put that information in the chat box along with their Cash App that she didn't mention.
Oh, thank you.
So support with some coins if you can. A little coinage right there. Spoken Lit is the Cash App. It is in your chat box. So we're going to move over to Matthew, to who I met as Cuban. So I'm going to start you off by talking a little bit about street poets, and she kicked it over to you. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so Los Angeles is full. I feel like we have the most nonprofits out of any city in the country. I feel like that's either a joke or true, or both. But there's a lot of nonprofits in Los Angeles, and some of them are really cool. Some of them are kind of we happen to be working with a really dope organization called Street Poets Inc. that's been around for like 25 years in Los Angeles, teaching in and out juvenile facilities and prisons. They just do really dope work that's just tied to like indigenous teachings, healing practices, all kinds of dope stuff like that. And they just like, you know, they really focused on like not burning out the artist while, you know, supplying like really awesome stuff. So they, you know, shouts out to them. With them, we've been doing incredible workshops. Every Tuesday, we do a writing and meditation circle that's free to anyone to join from like 4 to 6 West Coast time. We do a beats and rhymes program where we're like teaching kids how to make beats and play instruments and, you know, learn indigenous African drumming and like all kinds of dope shit, man. It's a really, really awesome organization. And yeah, super proud to be the, you know, director of juvenile programming there, where I'm able to just do a lot of the work we're doing for like larger audiences or for like people that are like trying to be, you know, up and coming poets, to like young people who maybe would never get an opportunity before to like experience time with a poet or writing a poem, you know, mainly like gang involved youth and stuff like that. So yeah, that's Street Poets in a nutshell.
Awesome. So you are a poet, an MC, a speaker, performance coach. So what's the difference in your writing process for each of those titles?
Well, that's a great question. You know, I think for the performance coach, I can see things in others that I can't see in myself for some goddamn reason. I think it's a curse. I see anybody, I'll be like, oh, I'll make you look this poem perfect. And I'll do some wild stuff with my own stuff. I don't know what the heck. But I think I've got a pretty good eye for it and been able to have some you know, marginal successes in the world of slam and coaching and whatnot. That definitely has like a different eye. I just love the structure of being able to create stuff and really just like finding where to put commas. Like that's really my biggest thing as a coach. Like, where am I putting these commas? Because a comma will like switch the game up on a sentence. And I think like most poems just need hella commas. I think poetry is dope. It's been this process that is very much less slam oriented. I don't think I've been slam oriented since I've honestly moved to LA. Though I've been coaching a lot since I've been living in LA for about 8 years now. And my own personal slam, I've just been like, I don't know, it just seems too formulaic sometimes. You know, it just seems too much like, you know, to the man who stubbed his toe and called me ugly. 1, you know, like, you know, 10 reasons why I'm motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't know. It just feels sometimes predictable, even in just how it's presented. So I think my creative process has become like very much so like healing oriented with my writing. Like why am I writing? Why do I right? My why is like all capital letters these days. And the why on like creating a slam poem isn't always there. And that's not to say like I'm not gonna go in on my poem, but I'm not looking for that formula there. And so I'm not always geared to poems. Sometimes I'll just sit and write poems. A lot of the poems and music that I write with my students. I'll be like, here's a writing prompt, and like to just, you know, so they don't come try to be like asking me a million questions. I'll be like, look, that's all right. Look at me writing. Look, you should do this too. And so that's kind of been the same thing with the hip hop too. And I think, you know, like I don't love one more than the other. I'm a pretty polygamous when it comes to my art. I'm just in love with them all. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I spend a week with some hip hop. Sometimes I'm gonna dig into some poems. You know, just really trying to figure out those different things.
Awesome. So you are the author of a book, 3032, and it explores your path into educating incarcerated youth. So tell us why the book is called 3032, and why did you embark on a path of educating incarcerated youth?
Yeah, man. So, you know, 3032 is like it's like a 4-part love story almost. You know, it's a love story to, yes, you know, the youth that I work with, and the youth that I was basically, which are one and the same in a lot of ways. It's a love story to the city I grew up in, Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County. It's a love story to my mother, who passed away before this book was published, and like a love story just to brown boys and like what it's like growing up in the hood. You feel me? So all of those things combined to tell this story. 3032 was the address of the home I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, that ultimately our family lost. I mean, it was like this little hood shack in the hood in Florida, but it was ours. And because America's healthcare system is the way it is, you know, my mother got really sick, bills got high, and we lost our home, you know, through bankruptcy and shit. Which is like nothing about the book. Like that story is nowhere in the book. It's just really like, you know, kind of like jotting my first steps, even as like a human almost. Like the book is meant to be done in one solid piece. Each poem is complementing and meant to, you know, reflect and respond to the others. So, yeah, man.
Wow.
What?
So you recently released a new project.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So when I dropped the book, you know, it was all that and mainly driven towards like, you know, healing from the loss of my mother. And at the same time I dropped the book, I dropped an album with her name. It was called Ivana. And so this album that I dropped last month on my birthday was a present to her, and it's Ivana 2. And this one is just like, I don't plan on this being like a set of like volumes. Like I'm not gonna do like Ivana 15, you know what I mean, or nothing. Maybe, I don't know. But it's just like I felt more like the first album was the sadness and the grieving process, and this album is totally much the joy, the celebration, the next steps in moving forward. So, you know, that's the project, and it's free on Spotify. And matter of fact, if for anybody listening or anybody interested, just hit me up directly on Instagram, and I'll send you a free copy of the book and both albums. I've been doing a giveaway to get stuff out and raise money for Black Lives Matter LA, and giving away these stuff, and had a lot of huge donations come in, more donations than I've been able to actually give away in books. So I have a surplus. So if you want some books and an album, or albums and a book, I'll let you boy. You get them for free. I'll pay for the shipping and all that.
I was going to mention that I saw you online giving stuff away. And
yeah, you know, I have this.
What prompted you to like be like, well, if you don't have money to buy it, then I'll just give it to you?
Honestly, the kids I work with, you know what I mean? Like I would be going into these camps. The kids would be like, I've dropped the book, dropped an album. They're like, oh, that's so dope, man. Like, let me get a book, let me get an album. And I'd have to be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, these cost me $15 to buy from my own publisher. Like, I can't even just give it to you, dog, you know? And it came to the point where, like, you know, one of the teachers was like bought a couple books. And I was like, dang, man, like, this is not, that teacher could use that money for something else. You know what I'm saying? These kids want this art. And I'm tired, and I didn't want to have to one. Oh, I have to pay for it to do this, so you have to do this. So last year, I started a campaign where I wanted to give away 3,032 copies of my book, 3032. And I raised $15,000. I wanted to raise $15,000 on Kickstarter to do it. I ended up raising $17,000 on my Kickstarter, which is great. And at this point, we've given away about 3,000 books to youth, incarcerated youth, incarcerated adults, you know, people, starting with incarcerated young people and adults, but also just like students and young people and just people all over the country, all over the world. It's pretty dope, man. And like, I keep with this concept that I don't want healing to have to cost money. And ultimately, I feel like the art that I create is a healing art. And I don't think you should have to pay to get the jewels. You feel me? Not that I'm dropping jewels, but like my healing process could potentially, if there's any healing you can get from my shit, I don't want you to have to pay for it, basically. You feel me? Like, and I'm over that mindset. Like, I've lived a long, like, at this point, my career has, you know, I've been a full-time artist since 2009, and I've lived this journey of having to eat hand to fist or fist, I don't know what the fuck the term is, but you know what I'm saying, day by day, and really having to live off of like, damn, I need these book sales, I need these album sales, I need that $50 feature, or I'm not gonna be able to eat, pay for the lights, you know what I'm saying? I'm blessed now to be able to have certain successes in the way that I operate, but I don't want people, if you got it, hey, hook it up, because you'll end up helping somebody else who don't got it. But if you don't got it, it's all good. I want you to have it because you don't got a shit. You feel me? I'm sorry. Anyways.
Yeah.
Getting passionate.
I was getting passionate. I'm in my feelings.
We like passion. We like
serious.
You know, that's what's missing with some of this poetry. The passion is missing in some of the poetry that we hear. So we like passion. We like it. So both of you, tell us how you met. Everybody want to know. We gotta know.
We have the same story, different versions.
No, I don't even think it's a different version, is it?
I mean,
we knew your version.
We knew each other already because poetry, and he toured a lot. So he's been to, when I was co-hosted Just Words, he was there a few times. And anybody who knows Miss Wise knows that I wasn't dating dudes at one point. Life just happened. So he would come to the venue, pay him money, and then I'd be like, oh, he's a dope poet. And then fast forward.
We had years where that was, you know,
I
that was
tell my
interaction.
You interrupted my version.
I was talking about that interaction.
That's not fair.
I was, okay.
So fast forward, Sonia Thomas, when she was living in Philly, invited me to be part of the Southern Fried team. So we went 1 year, and was it the second year? I forgot, first or second year I went. I think it was the second year. No, it's the first year.
I think it was the first year.
And point is, we went, and I meet this guy, and I was just really happy that he was a nice person. I was like going through some really weird breakup. And I was just like, man, I was just there to have a good time. And I was having a good time because Southern Fried is, everybody knows Southern Fried is Southern Fried. Yeah. But it was also like, it was a little bit of weird male energy there. I'm not going to get into that, you know, but the point is, I was just really happy to be around good energy. Like, I never got to know him. And every time he saw me, I'm sure he's done this to a million people. So I didn't feel super special, but I also did. He was just like, oh, Miss Wise, so good to see you, with this huge smile. And
it was always good to see you, though.
I'm almost done.
I'm just saying it was genuine.
No, I believed you. The point is, because everyone knows you really mean that when you're like that. The point is, it was no romantic interest on my end, I don't think, or I could have been fighting it. I don't know. The point is, I was just really happy to see him. And then we just started talking from there, and it was weird and scary for me, but I tried to avoid him for a while. I ain't gonna get into that part of the story. Point is, here we are, and I stuck around. He's lucky.
Yeah, I just feel like my game was the no game. You feel me? I was just like, what's up, Miss Wise? Good afternoon, Miss Wise.
So you admit it was game.
How are you, Miss Wise? Not exactly, you know. I didn't have game, so I would just say hello. Which apparently men are so horrible that literally just saying hello works. And no, it was I mean, I definitely was like, every time I saw her, I was like, oh my god, it's one of Jesus, Miss White. Oh, Miss White, so nice to see you. Those were all really legitimate feelings. But then we, at the end of the whole tournament, I was just feeling really great. I had a good time at the tournament. We won that year at Southern Fried. And I ended up just walking around with Aleysha, and we were just talking. And she was like, "Oh, I want some." I was like,
"I'm looking for oatmeal cookies in particular."
Yeah, I felt bad because I was like, "I'm not trying to run game, but I got a gang of cookies in my hotel room," and I did actually have a gang of cookies, homemade cookies in my hotel room that some people made us to go to this competition that we never ate, and then so we ate cookies, and that was literally it. No weird stuff, you know. We ate cookies. That was it. And I was like, this is dope.
You're so
Let's
awkward.
do this forever. And that moment.
Let's eat cookies.
Yeah, so, cookies, the great equalizer.
When did you know it was love?
I
probably
think
Leeds.
Yeah. I think it was two moments. I think I knew it could have been love when I went to go see him in Virginia, and it was something about him that was really getting on my nerves. I was just like, it's like, he's a little different, you know? And my personality is really picky, but I still liked him a lot. And
I was still transforming into my final form, so I wasn't there yet.
It's all good. You know, I'm also patient with people, but I know if somebody gets on my nerves, but they still keep me thinking about them, I'm like, I had to like get over my, the hard part in here, and was just like, give him a moment, you know? So I wasn't sure what it was, but I knew it could have been something. And then, yeah, when I went to go see him, he paid for my ticket when I was going through a very broke episode, and he was out in Leeds touring and everything. And he paid for my ticket to come out there. I think we was like not even a year, almost a year in our relationship. And he paid for me to come out there and sacrifice the trip he was going to take to go to, was it Abu Dhabi?
I was just going to go to Amsterdam.
Or Amsterdam.
Like, I wasn't going to do anything
but it wasn't
productive.
Cheap. It was not cheap. And to come out of pocket to pay for me to come over there. And then I was staying with people who don't even know me. You know, that's a lot, you know, but he was like, look, I'm gonna get you over here. So yeah, it wasn't just about the paying of the ticket. It was like the time we had to spend together. It was our first time kind of like living with each other. It was a whole month and I got to know him and I was like, yep, I think this is it.
Yeah. I like you said, I think like, yep. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I shake. So now that you guys are married, because you know, it's I think it's a different type of relationship when you are in a relationship with an artist, right? It's a different thing, you know. Then the person is not just your cheerleader, you know. It is the person really understands the art, you know. They understand you as a person and they really understand your art. You know, I know like being with 13 is very judgmental of my writing. I always tell the story about how he gave me a 7.5 in a slam.
Oh no, what?
That's why your score got dropped. What do you give me a 7.5, right? So he was like, oh, because you know, I've heard you do that poem way better than that. And I was like, you can't judge me on the past. You gotta judge me right now. But I mean, I like that, you know, he understands, like when I'm writing, he understands that, you know, he understands the writing process. And he's going to listen to those poems and be like, yeah, you need to rework that, you know, because, yeah, that's not flying. Yeah. These words out and do these things or whatever. So, I mean, I think, I don't know, but does being married to an artist specifically, does it change your writing? Like your style, or in your writing style and your writing?
I would say, yeah, like it has to inherently. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, you know, that's a very good point. Yeah. I think for sure, like we give each other feedback all day. You know, like we try to find different words that we're looking for, that we're searching for. Like I think there was just a poem you were just doing a little while ago, and there was a certain word you were looking for. You said it's not that I don't believe in accountability. I just don't believe in it.
I believe in it I believe in it lowercase.
I believe in it lowercase. And we were trying to find like the right wording for that. And I remember us going back and I was like, you use lowercase. That's good, right? I'm sorry I stole that line.
No, it's not
but
good.
Like I think like there's things like that is like all the time. Like I find myself using refrains and repetition a lot in my writing. Just because that's something that I know Aleysha does often. And then like we'll share like different writing skills. And I also think just as like us as teaching artists, the way we teach writing, we tend to like our lines have now blurred into like, I don't know.
Yeah, so Matthew was one of the editors on my book.
Aleysha was the editor on my book.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a poem that I write now that I don't try. I think I get on his nerves sometimes because I'm writing a poem, first of all, when I don't know how to write a poem without reading it out loud as I'm writing it. So I'll go to the top and read through. That's just my process. And I'll just be kind of like low-key whispering because I don't want to like be all loud. So he'd be like, what are you doing? And then I'm just like, can I read it to you? And I really genuinely, I get nervous about reading unfinished work, but when it's someone who I respect their ear and their eye for poetry, I just get so excited. And there's very, very few people in my life who, it doesn't mean I don't respect other poets. It's just as far as feeling comfortable showing them my raw material. And that's Matthew. And then my coach here, Shihan, and I'm sure a few other people. I'm like, can you look at this? And Matthew has been like my number one, like teacher, coach right now when it comes to poetry. So I trust I think it's dope. I think it's dope that, I don't get on his nerves too much. I'm just like, can you read this, please, please, please? So,
yeah, totally ditto on everything.
Yes, that's. I get it. I'm the same way. I read. It's funny you said that's your process. That's my process too. I read the line, I reread it, and I think, you know, I noticed years ago. 13 and I've been together 18 years now, but I noticed years and years ago that I like the way he makes a point of his poetry. Like at the beginning, he tells something in the beginning, right? So, and then he circles back around. Like all of his poetry, if you listen to it, all of his poetry is 360. Like, and the point I was trying to make in the beginning is, and it brings you back around. And I was like, oh, when I noticed it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna do poems. So yeah, I think I think the person that you're with and when they're creative, I think the best part I would say about it, in my thoughts on being married to an artist, is there's always art in the house. So we're not both having, writer's block or not writing at the time. Somebody's writing, and it puts the energy of creativity in the house all the time. So there's always an energy that one of us can soak up to be a writer. So that's one thing I like about being an artist. Yeah, but you still have to book us separately unless you got real money. But anyway, yeah, don't tour together unless you got two features money. So that's why we haven't toured together since 2007. So
wow.
So I'm gonna ask you both this question. Do you think that the internet and social media contributes to the well-being of poetry?
Ooh, contributes to the well-being of poetry?
Yeah, like internet and social media?
It contributes to poetry. Okay.
I'm really split on that.
Ask it again. Ask me one more time.
Do you think that the internet and social media contributes to the well-being of poetry?
No. Yeah, that's the one that came from the gut.
No.
Yeah, no? I don't think it does. I think it makes it more accessible. But accessibility as
Can I jump in?
I'm marinating. I need to marinate. I'm not sure if I stick on that answer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough answer. I think would take me time to like thoroughly dive into. But on the top of my head, I appreciate poetry on the internet because of the accessibility. Because I've seen the things written about, just exposure in any art form. I think is super awesome. Sometimes I hate that word because it's been used against poets a lot. You want this for exposure? Anyway, the point is, it's like I love how visible it is now. Social media is obviously very popular with Instagram. You have poems everywhere, but that leads me into the part of it that I don't like that much. I think it's easy for people to see what poetry can do for like popularity or whatever the case may be, and to kind of like water down the art. Not even kind of, like tremendously. I think sometimes people get caught up in, likes and popularity over the actual craft. There's been so many poems that have been posted that don't even utilize poetic devices. Like, it's not a poem if it doesn't really utilize poetic devices. We've all probably seen the conversations of just press and enter. And this is not to make anybody feel bad. I think everybody here loves this craft a lot. So it's like, I'm so happy about how much people are like, wow, poetry, I can do that. I would love to do that. But again, just like when we get people who join spoken literature art movement, we're like, if you're just here for the ego, if you're not here to do more than just like write the poem and try to say, look at me, clap for this, then this isn't the space for you. And I believe poetry is spirit work. A lot of people might disagree with me and have another take. I have a friend, I'm not going to put her name out there. It's not a bad thing, but a friend that some of y'all probably know from Philly who said, I write because like, I'm not, I wanted to be a rapper and I'm not good at rapping. And guess what? I love her honesty. I'm not mad at that. It's dope. But I also know everything she writes is her truth. I also know everything she writes is coming from the heart. So it's like, I don't care what your reason is, but is it coming from here, or are you just doing it so people can be like, so I think the internet, I love what it's doing for us, but I also need more people to take workshops and to read books and to call on their mentors or find some. Yeah, I can go on about that forever, but that's my overall.
I also think my answer is now yes and no. Both, right? I think yes to obviously everything Aleysha's saying, and I think that there is some level of hierarchy or respect that is not shown or studied or even cared about when it is made so accessible. I think that there are artists who have been putting in work for decades, just in the spoken word realm, the writing realm, that are often passed by for something that seems more accessible, more commodifiable. That's not a word. But you know what I mean? I think, yeah, it's good because I think poetry may in fact be dead if it isn't for social media or the things. But I think it's also it's also softened a lot of people's actual voice that they could have had. It could, before when you would go to a national or regional event, you hear somebody from Albuquerque, New Mexico, they sound like they're from Albuquerque, New Mexico. You hear somebody from Hoboken, New Jersey, they sound like they're from Hoboken, New Jersey. You hear somebody from Cincinnati, from Cincinnati. Now everybody sounds like whatever has the most views on YouTube. And I think people's authentic voice is more and more muffled because of that. But, that's just my take. Loosely, without thinking hard on it.
I just want to say one more thing, because I'm thinking about a lot of, when you look at some of the original poems, by original, I mean poems written by ancestors and indigenous people. A lot of those poems were written by anonymous. It was written by anonymous. They didn't put their names on it. They were like short little poems, accessible poems, short poems, but they didn't put that because it wasn't about them. It was about the poem. It was about the message, about the word. So as I know validation is important for a human, even I love validation sometimes. If I write a poem and put work into it and sweat into it, I want you to say, good job, feels good. But also to remind myself that it's not all about me. So if I could, especially newer poets come up, just to remind themselves, like that work, once you put it out, that's for the people, it's for whatever. It's just not all about you anymore, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Makes a whole lot of sense. So do you think that for you, is poetry therapy? Is it spiritual practice or a hobby?
Why not all of it?
All of it for you.
It's spiritual practice and it's full-time. I hate calling it a job, but yeah, it is. It's work. Like, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yes, it's definitely mostly a spiritual practice for me.
Wouldn't call it a hobby. Hobby's probably the only one I wouldn't call it, but it's definitely it's definitely like healing work. It's definitely cathartic. It's definitely, a reason why I don't have a steady therapist, you know what I mean? Because I got poetry. But I feel like that gets used really loosely sometimes. You know what I mean? I think sometimes people are like, I'm going to therapy, so I got to work on shit about myself. And it's like, no, like poetry is literally like just staring deep into the mirror and like really being honest with yourself. And I think if you're not being honest with yourself and with your work, you might not be writing poetry. You might just be writing prose or story or just like rhyming. You know what I mean? But to me, I think poetry is that deep look in yourself, getting to know yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's 13 talk right there. You feel me? Like, you gotta dig deep into yourself. So it's all those things, I think. Except for hobby.
Except for hobby. Yeah. So, as a poet or somebody who performs, so I would like to take this opportunity for the both of you to shout out 2 venues or people who housed you well, treated you well. Shout them out.
Oh, that's fun.
That treated me well?
Treated you well. They housed you well. 2 people or venues or 2 apiece.
I'm going to do some East Coast shout outs. So, it's so hard to pick 2, but I'm going to pick the Art of Conversation, Baltimore, because that was the first. Philly is not where I'm from, but Philly has always been home, and a lot of people think I'm from Philly anyway. So I say Baltimore and Art of Conversation because I featured there, I think, more than any other place outside of Philly, at least when I was still living on the East Coast. And it was just so much love. And the Poet MC, gave me my first feature outside of Philly. So it just felt like it's only an hour and a half away, but I felt, look at me acting like it's been so long. I was like, was it out? But it felt like another world, Anybody who's from the hood knows that when you go 20 minutes out the hood and you ain't used to it, it feels like a whole nother world. So an hour and a half, I was like, oh man, I feel like I was in Florida, it ain't Florida, but it felt like I was far. So shout out to the Art of Conversation. I always had a very, very great time inside of that coffee shop, and I love their kale. Oh my gosh, I miss it. And I'm going to shout out, I'm gonna go ahead and shout out the Just Words again, because I don't know where I'm sure I would be doing poetry, but the way Just Words embraced me And I felt like a youth poet in there. I was definitely in my early 20s, but I felt like this little young poet looking up to all these giants. Remember seeing like Slinkston and all types of amazing people who actually, all of them aren't that much older than me, but it felt like they was just like doing poetry decades before I started, and they were so amazing and powerful. And I definitely copied as far as like style. It wasn't consciously, but you know, it happens, like Matthew said earlier, like that energy. I was like, I want to get up there and do that, but I want to do that like the way a woman would do it, you know? So that energetic performance, a lot of those poets in Philly and those who frequented Just Words inspired me to be the powerful, if I can say, performer that I grew into being. So Just Words and Art of Conversation.
Heck yeah. For me, God, that's such a tough question. Like, I really just want to like rattle off a bunch of venues and a bunch of names. For me,
it's good that you both have this experience.
I'll do one on.
So you have so many.
Yeah, you know, the one that comes to mind is that, you know, the very first poetry venue that I ever performed at, because I performed at a lot of like open mics in Jacksonville when I was a kid, where it's just like everybody's drunk, it's 3 a.m. and I'm like, here's my poem about the girl that won't talk to me. I'm like, no, I got booed off stage when I was like 15 as a kid through all that shit. But I remember that there was this one venue that my mom randomly found in downtown Jacksonville. It was actually a theater and a Black History museum, the Ritz La Villa Theater in downtown Jacksonville. And they would do a poetry open mic there once a month. And I think it was like an hour-long open mic. It was supposed to go from like 8 to 9. And like, she would not let them end. She wouldn't let them. She's like, y'all cannot end until my son gets here and performs some poetry. And we lived like half an hour away. And she made this people, and everybody in the venue, there's probably like 10 people there. And they all waited, and I came, and I had my little notebook, and I like put it on the little music stand there, and I like fucking bust like 5 poems. I was like, and everybody was like, oh shit, you're fucking. I think I was 13 at the time, or 15, I can't remember. I was young. Yeah, I think I was like 13. And yeah, and then I just got scooped up into this like really small poetry community in Jacksonville, and kind of just got that bug, and found my way into Southern Fried when I was like 15, and pretty much been expanding what the poetry world was from there. I went to my first NPS at 17 and all that good stuff. Just been fucking around with it. But that venue right there, and the fact that those people waited, like, if they wouldn't have waited and they're like, bruh, it's late, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't have came, I wouldn't have spit. Maybe next month I would have got on the mic, or maybe not. Maybe I would have fucking tried to be a wrestler or some shit. Like, my life would have shifted drastically.
I miss those venues. The ones, late night bars. I'm sure they have them over here, but I don't know where they are. Like, a lot of I don't know if they still been back home or whatever. I'm sure they are, but I just haven't been to that type of, that goes to like 1, 2, 3 in the morning. You got a bar in the back. Even if it's not a bar, like, be sober, that's fine. But like that energy, you know, like, not saying the stuff over here isn't dope. It's just not, it's not that, you know? Yeah. So yeah.
But the second thing I want to shout out though, and I gotta be quick about it, is 13 Nazareth, man, changed my fucking life. First of all, I always talk about this. He was the first poetry CD I got, was the Fallout Shelter, which to this day is like still one of the greatest spoken word albums ever created. And like completely messed me up for every poetry album afterwards, because I was like, this is not good. But 13 Nazareth, you know, I didn't know what the hell slam was. I didn't understand numbers and what the fuck was going on with judges. When I was 15, I went to Southern Fried, and I remember so much drama and shit that came up with me going that year and getting there, but I somehow got there and I competed as an indie and was hanging out at finals, you know, just by myself. And 13 was competing as on the team and as an indie. And he wouldn't sit with his team. Like, he would go and do his poem, and then he would come over. I don't remember. He's probably seen, but I remember he would come and kick it with me in between the poems. And then before he'd go on, he'd be like, I'll be right back. And then go spit, and then fucking kill, and come back. Oh, yeah. And I'm just watching, And this dude ends up, his team wins that year, and he wins as an indie. Only poet to ever win as an indie.
So
and at the end, he's just like, yeah, all right, bro. And they're calling people up. He's like, I'll see you later. And they call him up. I'm like, this fucker just won? And I remember, like, you know, he's about to be rushed by a bunch of by people wanting to buy his shit. And he just says, hey, man, I love you. Be good. And it was one of the first times somebody who wasn't family looked me in my eyes and told me they loved me and changed my life forever. Wow. I don't even think I talked to 13 for like 3 years after that. But I remember that shit stuck the fuck with me till today.
Wow.
Amazing. So anyway.
Yeah, 13 has that effect on people, and he did it to me too. He did it to me too. You know what I'm saying? He did it to me, and 13 has always felt like a family to me. But we'll talk about that later. I always thought that you and 13 looked alike.
Yes, we are twins.
I always thought that. When I see pictures, I have a picture. I'm gonna dig it out. I have a picture of you and him, and I was like, look, you guys are brothers. It is. Call your daddy. Find out who his daddy is. I think y'all are related. I always said that y'all look alike. Always.
You get the same bloodline somewhere in there, man.
Somewhere, I'm telling you. But yeah, and you definitely are one of the people that he really does love and care for, you know, outside of just being a poet, but, you know, being a person as well. So yeah, the love is mutual. Okay. I hate to ask this, but who are your favorite poets? People hate.
No.
Hate that.
Favorite poets, huh?
My favorite poet, this is gonna be corny, but like, I love this guy's writing, and I'm gonna act like he's not here right now because Matthew is an incredible writer. I remember first hearing Matthew, and what I liked the most was his passion. I'm just like, this poet is friggin', like, I've never felt a person, obviously a lot of people know how to perform with a lot of passion, but the way he delivered, I was just like, yeah, I just loved listening. But as I've seen him evolve, I've got to see his pen more. And when I read his work, I'm like, man, more people need to hear that. So I know he's been doing a lot of hip hop lately. And I'm like, that's beautiful. I love his hip hop. Absolutely. The last album is, Jesus, I'm a fan. Like, I'm really a big fan. But I want to hear more of his poems too. You know, I feel like, and I've told him, I feel like you're burying those poems a little bit. And this new writing, no, it's not what people are used to, but people should never get used to your work. So I'm saying this as if he's not here because I have the opportunity to be on this, this platform, stand up on this podium right now and just say, this poet is a dynamic writer and I'm such a fan. Outside of him, my favorite writer is Audre Lorde. And I'm a big fan of a lot of other writers as well, but those are my two favorite, this guy and Audre.
So Aleysha's a complete cheater and beat me to the punch. I was totally going to say she's my favorite writer. And it's definitely true for just as many reasons, but now I'm going to look like a big dummy if I try to just do the same thing. But just know I have those feelings exactly the same and just as eloquent.
You're a fan of my hip hop album?
I love your hip hop album. Are you serious? That's my shit.
I love it.
No, for sure, it is a constant inspiration, and I think I've seen her work evolve from when I knew all her poems from when we first started, you know, talking, and she was the legend of Miss Wise, you know, and then seeing the evolution of her work over it, and it seems like there's been like so many different stages, and the place that she's in now is just like, man, it's some of the most brilliant shit I've fucking ever hear, and just pushes what we do as poets and writers. I fucking love it. But Maya Angelou's my shit. God, I love me some Maya Angelou. Like, hell yeah, no, God damn, dude. Like, not even just her writing, but just like her as a poet, as an artist, and who she is as a human. Like, damn it, man. Like, I feel like she's my grandma. Like, for real. Like, I feel like not even like she's like my grandma, but like she is an extra grandmother that I've been able to have through her work. An elder that is just taught and raised me, and just like, man, I fucks with Maya Angelou. I also like Jeffrey McDaniel, you know what I'm saying? Huge fan of Jeffrey McDaniel. He's like super just brilliant, prolific writer. I love me some Patricia Smith, Inez Smith, Slangson's a beast. I see you doing. You know what I'm saying? 13. These are all my favorite poets. I have lists and lists and lists.
I knew you would. That's why I said I hate when people ask that. People always ask me who's my favorite poet, and I say me. Yeah.
You know I don't disagree.
And it's also it's strange for me because when it comes to my favorite poets, this could be just because of expectations of poetry. I know it's wrong, but when it comes to my favorite poets, I know some dynamic writers, but I'm not really a fan of them as a person. And not to be divisive here or mean, you know what I mean? It's just like, if I think you're a mean-spirited poet, I don't really dive into your work that much, but I will respect it. But it's so different though, because when it comes to hip hop, I don't always like the person, but I'd be like, those are some bars right there. So I need to stop there. I know that's wrong. But
there are limits to that too, though.
I know that I do have limits as well, because some of them I'm like, I can't listen to you. That's another story.
Bumping nose.
If you're too problematic, that's another thing.
No Tekashi.
But you know what I mean? Like when it comes to poets, like I'm not really speaking on like being problematic, but just like, oh, your personality is a little icky, you know? But when it comes to hip hop, before Kanye had all this stuff that when he just kept, you know, that's a whole nother workshop and conversation. But when I just knew him as like egotistical, cocky Kanye, I was like, I'll deal with it. Whatever, it's fine. I like him as a rapper, but you know, when it comes to poets, I don't always have that leniency. I need to check that bias.
I think because we take poetry so personal, I think. That's
yeah.
Poetry is personal. So what's the last book you read?
Oh, I'm reading a few books right now and I'm actually crawling through them. So thank you for asking me that, because I put out a tweet a few days ago that said, please hold me accountable on Monday, because I'm crawling through these books. I'm reading a Prince's memoir that was written by a gentleman that went on tour with him, like not too long before he passed. And he was working on a memoir with Prince actually, and then ended up publishing it after. I'm reading Ta-Nehisi Coates' latest book, The Water Dancer. And I'm also reading, catching up just on my spiritual work. And I forgot the name of the book, but it's a book about Yoruba practices. And obviously I haven't picked that up in about a couple weeks. So thank you for the inspiration, because I need it.
Do books on tape count?
Yeah.
Because I've read a few books on tape.
Yeah.
And they were all about vampires, so it was pretty stupid. But I did read this book, which is my good friend, Poetic Moment. She dropped a book not that long ago, and I legitimately read this book. This was the last hard copy book that I read.
Wow.
That and comic books, that counts too, like graphic novels.
Yeah, somebody made a comic about you.
Yeah. So the Arts for Incarcerated Youth is a network, is a partner of Street Poets, and they're working with a bunch of Marvel graphic designer and comic book people, and they made me into a comic book. So for the next 3 weeks, I'll be doing workshops as a comic book character. I don't even know. It's wild. I already put the first like six little sketches up that they sent me on my Instagram. It's hilarious. The guy even has like a little like oblong shape, because they know, you know. He's like rounded off at the bottom. Is it a shirt? Is it a belly? It's me.
You're silly. Okay, each of you give us 3 artists that's on your playlist.
Go ahead. Oh well, no, go ahead.
3 artists on my playlist. And honestly, like myself, I've been playing this album a lot since I dropped it. I love Figgy Baby. Oh my gosh, my brother. Don't be sneaking up in here.
Peace. How y'all doing?
What's good? How you doing, family member?
Good to see you.
I'm all right.
I look so tall right now. I'm just
it's good to see y'all. I heard y'all talking, and I was like, I gotta stick my face in. And
I'm glad you did.
Say hi.
Listen to it. I'm telling all nice stories and stuff about you and whatnot.
He didn't hear. He'll have to see it on the replay.
You gotta see the replay. You gotta see the replay.
Yeah. I love y'all. I'm out.
I love you too.
This is what's gonna be about. Ever get a TV show, he does that to anybody that he like loves. He does the little sneak up face thing. Everybody does. He does. Yeah, he does.
Fantastic.
Every time I'm hosting somebody that he loves, he wants to see. That's what he does. Look, speak up.
That's
Anyway,
awesome. I don't even know. Yeah.
Playlist.
Artist playlist. Figgy Baby, this guy out here. They're an incredible artist, queer artist here in Los Angeles. Super dope. Rapper. Just dropped the album, Figgy Baby. And also, Meta Sorrento, or I'm messing up Meta's last name, but Meta from Denver, beast artist, dropping some music. G Yamazawa, always beast artist. Oh, Justice Jones. Please go run up Justice Jones. Just Us Jones. He's like legitimately like my son. He's the closest thing to a son I have right now, like for real. And he's incredible. And he has an amazing like couple of music videos out there that are dope. Just Us Jones. It's the hardest push I could do right there.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's
Thank
the
you.
one.
Danielle's posting it for us. Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah, I co-signed Justice. He's amazing. We've known that kid since he was like 15. And yeah, absolutely awesome. Matthew's latest album is definitely on my playlist. Shout out to Ivana too. That is amazing. As far as I'm just gonna shout out some mainstream artists because I was thinking about them. So Prince is always on my playlist. That's my favorite artist of all time. I don't think there's a day that goes by I don't at least hum a Prince song. I've been listening to some Megan Thee Stallion because I like her. It took me a while to get into Megan's work, but I think it was watching her Tiny Desk, and she just seems so, I'm still learning about her. We'll see how I feel in a year, but right now I like her. And it was one more person. Oh, and I've been listening to a bit of Solange, but like the same two songs on like repeat, just to like get through my stretches and stuff in the morning. It's been helping. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, now that you guys have been on this platform and you know what it's about, who else should I feature?
Ooh, so many amazing people.
Okay.
So I'm gonna shout. I think. It's so many people.
I'm
just gonna throw out some names. All right. Try our good friend who. Okay, she was just showing love. Jessica Salgado.
Mm-hmm. Yes, fantastic.
Yeah, I think Yesika. Yeah, Salgado. She usually is really good at communicating, so I'm sure if you hit her up, she'll, get back to you. But Jessica's awesome. You have any?
Moses West.
Oh,
Moses West is legitimately probably one of my favorite people and favorite poets of all time. Like I definitely gotta keep Mo in that category of favorite people of all time. Moses West, please.
Oh, thank you. Danielle, give it up to my co-host Danielle. She be on it. She just type it in. I love it. I love that. I love it. Anybody else? Before I ask you for before I ask you guys for another piece.
Man, probably.
I don't know.
Keto Fortune.
Oh yeah, Keto would definitely.
Yao.
Yeah, Keto Fortune. Last name Fortune. Keto Kito. And then Yao Kaira Matang. If he hears this, he's gonna be like, you said that all types of American.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like how it is at all. I'm not sure if that's the name, babe.
I was sounding it out. I know how to spell it. I just don't know how to say it.
I thought it was,
but it's like W-A. I'll help type it because otherwise,
cremate.
There we go.
Cremate.
That's who it was.
I was like, what is?
Don't block him from this. Don't let him see this. He'll be like, well, what? What you just call me?
We're gonna mute that little part, like
like
block it out. Okay. We're gonna ask you guys for another piece, and I'm gonna ask if anybody in the chat on Facebook or live on Zoom or my co-host has any questions, then you can type it in the chat. So I'm gonna let y'all close us out with a piece.
It's up to you.
Yeah. You go first last time?
Or did I go first last time? I'm ready. I'm checking in.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm gonna go after Miss Wise.
Oh Lord,
I know better. Is in my heart, my shell, or both? Born as a conch shell, born as a sea turtle, born as a rock or a hard place, or both? Born a brick, built like a wall, something made to keep out, something made to keep in, to suppress, to surprise, or tear down and rebuild, born like a bullhorn, a siren, a wailing, a calling, or a culling to the war machines under our collarbones, bones like shells, slugs or shields, armored fragments shuffling under the skin, the parts we wear like car paint, chrome, covering the dings and dents from existing in this unkind place, born like a bullet, born like a gunshot or a ricochet, born like a battle cry, but not born to cry or deconstruct the bricks our ancestors created to keep us alive, even if we were just a thought or a dream, even if we never to find out or know, and all we get for their construction is air in our lungs, still born like shell casing, still built like boomerang, coming back to the things that push us furthest away, still spinning and moving, but only in circles, still protecting our fragile, like it's not the strongest part of our resolve, like it's not our greatest resource disguised as a wilting rose, like it's not the only parts of my mother I can still feel and speak to and speak from. Like I wasn't born with a to-do list. Like I wasn't built to grow from this lineage of trauma. Like I wasn't the trauma. Like I wasn't the growth. Like I'm not growing, existing from lives not able to be lived. Like I'm not a chip off the old block, an old shell casing. Talking about you need me. Talking about I'm weak without the comfort I hide behind. Talking about you good. Just say you good, bro. Just sleep, just rest, just stay tired and call it productive. Call it busy or distraction or destruction. Call it the bones or walls. Call it an ugly shield, call it a bullhorn singing the map you'll follow all the way home, all the way to heart.
I like that poem.
Thanks, man.
My baby brother was charged for a murder he did not commit. He, a young man born in a city that reeks of death, spent 2 years behind bars thinking of death only. If Khalif Browder was not a black boy, a backpack wouldn't have been grounds for imprisonment. I'm thinking Sabrina Butler survived 7 years on death row by dreaming about her living child after being accused of murdering the one she could not revive. The definition of revival is an improvement in the condition or strength of something. Maybe in America, this is a myth, maybe mostly for the Black, the marginalized, those who could be added to the numbers as if we do not count the seconds that maple sap themselves inside a single person-sized cell. Nothing about this is sweet, just slow, just debilitating to the mind and muscle. And this is how you commit a crime. Actually, the American justice system kills a spirit, funds a police force, kills a camera, kills a body, films the dead. Nothing about this is TV. The so-called criminal here on this land is oftentimes innocent, oftentimes a biased or false conviction away from home, from programming, from resources, from home, from home. The actual criminal here on this land is the one who always gets to go home after the cover-up, after the coercion, after the cup of coffee, after the gavel, after the promotion. This is how you commit a crime. Actually, take away the touch, take away the empathy, take away the sunlight and ask them, what do they see? Nothing. According to Damien Eccles, who said, quote, I miss the stars. You know, I haven't seen the stars in years and years and years, end quote. And we could ask Troy Davis, but the missing is a person forced to cave in on their self over and over during and long after the sentencing. I am not believe in accountability. I'm saying I believe in it just. I'm saying I believe in it lowercase, something that at least tries to see the human, bring the human back, something that recognizes how come is a question mark, not a period. Admits there is no justice here, period. Admits it is more about power and paper than a penalty, period. Count the statistics, grab it, a hold of reality, the facts inside of your fist until they fester. In other words, get a good grip and let this system go.
Wow. Wow. I have to, wait a minute, hold on. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I mean, when it's a personal poem like that, I can't even know what to say. I got to get my mind together right fast. Anybody got any questions while I try to get my whole mind together? Because both of y'all just really left us with some. Hey, Kitty!
This is Curtis.
Curtis?
Yeah.
I love
Curtis has a whole personality. Is a whole person here.
Clearly. Clearly. Like, let me come in the room and see what y'all doing. What's going on? What's up?
Yep.
What's up, Curtis? What's up? Listen, thank you guys so much for joining us. And Aleysha had me a little bit shook on the end of that last piece. So yeah, because I was listening with my heart. You know how sometimes when you're not listening with your ears, but you're listening with your heart, you can feel the emotions in there. So yeah, I need somebody else to be somebody ask a question. Ask something.
You can ask anything you want. I'll tell you the truth.
I'm actually just reading the comments in Facebook. That Carlin Newhouse is like, I want to be Aleysha when I grow up. If you know her, she's amazing. She's amazing, amazing, amazing. So that's huge and funny. And
yeah,
I'm looking to see, anybody have questions from, I'm monitoring Facebook. Also, we have a lot of people in the live. So if anybody has questions, comments, anything, let's see. Everybody's still kind of stunned. Like I'm still reading the comments.
Maureen says thank you, and she loved your pizzas.
Thank you.
Yes. People are in the comments like they're dumbfounded about how touching that was, and they really got pulled in. Thought I saw a couple of Slam Richmond folks in here too. FYI, I saw Slangston over here, and he's actually in the room. If I'm not mistaken, he's still in the room.
Yeah.
Charity is asking Charity's asking, how do you guys stay motivated during this time?
Ooh, that's hard. I personally don't have a formula for staying motivated. I think I've been personally doing a lot of growing work, a lot of spiritual work, because when I do that work, I feel more connected to my art and my poetry. So I think that's what's helping me stay motivated. Also giving myself days and times and whatever it takes to just be like, today I'm just gonna lay on the couch and not feel guilty. I don't do that a lot, but when I do it, I think maybe other artists can relate. Sometimes I feel really bad about it, man. Like, oh, I could have been super productive in that hour or those 24 hours. And I'm like, girl, you work hard. Give yourself a moment to just chill and be human. So it's permission, and it's also taking time to really work on me, which automatically connects to my pen and my heart.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Yeah.
and I heard the cat also agree.
Yeah. He was
Langston is asking about the biggest differences between poeting and working and living as an artist in Florida, Richmond, England, compared to like LA, Philly, or LA, Philly, Jersey compared to LA too.
Yeah, I think for me, like teaching and working and touring and performing in England was just like super dope just because it was so foreign. But I remember how that feeling also felt like LA felt like I moved to a different country, even though it was like the same, just across the way. But I think the biggest difference is like funding more than anything, unfortunately. It's amazing how much the art and what ways the arts can thrive with proper funding in a city versus cities that don't. And a lot of times it doesn't matter. You're still going to find absolutely incredible artists in every city that are representing their own cities and just representing on a level that's like monumental, legendary type shit. I think that you get that in every city, but I think that in LA, it's dope because you don't have all these artists fighting over the handful of gigs that's around that offer you, a living wage. I think that there's a lot of those things in Los Angeles just through nonprofits or just general funding to teach arts. And it'd be doper if more of that was like spread around. The categories.
The categories.
Yeah.
And actually that jumps into what Carlin was asking in Facebook, and she said, what cities do you feel, well, this is actually her second question. I'll go back to her first one in a second. She's asking, what cities do you feel are doing amazing work in poetry? And also, what scenes have you not experienced firsthand but want to? That's a very good question. I have a hit list.
I can shout out a lot of cities, but I do want to shout out Philly for what I mean, I don't know, because from what I see from a distance, Philly's like really doing different than when I was there. But when I went back to visit, I think my last feature there was right before the pandemic and everything, and it was at the Pigeon, which I co-founded with my friend Jacob Winterstein. And they were trying to tell me that poetry there wasn't really like doing major things. But what I want to say is the writers, I don't know what the scene is doing, but the writers, the writing level, and this has nothing to do, I'm not trying to say that writers back in the day weren't great, but I see the pen moving in a different way. Just like a lot of younger poets who aren't necessarily, they're not all trying to slam. They're just like, getting, I didn't see that many young poets just like on the scene when I was in Philly. And I just see a lot of people doing their thing, like flourishing, like careers flourishing coming out of that city. So I just want to shout out to them for the growth I see in the people. I can't really speak on the scene all around. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's, and also I think, I just want to shout out Baltimore, not to like kiss ass right now, but I think it's amazing just like the hunger I see in a lot of, like, for example, I'm thinking of Mecca, and Mecca is such a personality, just such a personality. And but every time, one thing I know is every time I see, like, she just seems so hungry for the work and the art, and to like continuously like put herself out there, even in vulnerable moments. You know, Mecca be typing all types of statuses every 5 minutes, but I love her. I love her, just her joy and her passion. And she's
just saw her. I just saw her. I literally went to go see her maybe. Yeah, I live in Baltimore now, so I just went to go see her like I want to say a couple of weeks ago. I took her a gift, and it was so good to see her. I have seen literally no one. And yeah, it's funny you mention her because I literally just saw her, and it was so good to see her face.
She inspires me. I love seeing poets around, I'm getting a lot older now, I'm gonna have a moment, but around her age who are really loud, and by loud, I mean proud about their stuff, like without any like shame, you know? Because I remember being a poet around that age coming up thinking, I don't know, you have to have like a certain demeanor. You can't be too like, you know, you got to look cool with it. And nobody necessarily taught me that, but it wasn't energy. It was like a thing where like, you know, don't talk too much about yourself. And, you know, that I'm just really happy to see other people who are like, this is my craft. This is what I'm working on. Look at me. Like, I hope you like it. And I'm a fan of that. And I grow from seeing that. So yeah.
Can I throw something in? I'm going to stand a little bit. You specifically, it was at Pigeon, one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's when you tell poetry stories, sometimes like, you know, these, you know, the poem sticks in your head, the poet sticks in your head, or some moment. One of the stories that I have that will stick in my head forever is I came up to Pigeon one time, and I was slamming, and somebody came and did I won't call it a poem. I use that word very loosely in this context. It was bad.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And you kicked the guy off the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Like, the idea that I had, like, at the time that we were doing poetry, most of the hosts were male. Most of the hosts were, you know, the data pulled it off, but it was like, it's the way that it happened. She just, literally, I thought she was gonna kill the guy. Like, she just took him off the stage, head and all. It was one of the most epic things I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, yep. And this is why we're gonna keep coming up here. Yeah. And this is at a time when I'm running 4 or 5 cities at a time. I'm going back and forth between 4 and 5 cities doing this stuff. And I'm like, and this is why we keep coming to Philly.
Wow.
Yep, I remember that. I sure do. And you know, I don't believe in a huge censorship. No, but I feel like when you're saying things that he was saying, okay, and you know, just to make it short,
Yeah.
for anyone, then no, we're not gonna do that here. So yeah, I had to make a decision. I didn't speak to my co-host about it. He just saw my eyes, he saw my energy, and I did it. And then he was like, "Thank you," and yeah.
Yeah, it was a thank you, but it reinforced that I needed to keep coming up there. So yeah, that part.
Thank you.
Wow. I wish can we rewind a life tape so I can see that happen? If this happens at your venue, this is what you do.
I thought this dude was gonna lose his head and I'd have been here for it.
That was bad.
It was
that must have been real bad. I've seen some things happen in poetry being used, but
we all have.
See, what it is you have to be a thug, right, to get these people. Yeah, I meant to ask this while I don't know how I missed this, but I'm glad we're talking about this. So I'm just gonna ask you guys one last question. What do you think the job of the host is?
To make sure that the poems are being represented the best and shedding the fuck up, walking off stage and introducing poems, fucking doing your fucking job. And
you are passionate with the F-bombs.
Just saying who's coming up next, maybe announcing important events or things we should be doing, letting people know that they can talk over them and not the poets, you know, hosting stuff, you know?
I co-sign all that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
This is hilarious.
And then keeping the space safe too.
Yeah,
as much
that's
as possible.
Important. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you got security.
You are a you are there to service the space and holding the space so that people can come and present their hard-working poems about that are emotioning and hopefully working through their own feelings. And you're there to provide that space, not create a space so that you can fucking do a show. If you want to feature, do a feature.
Get it off your chest.
Nah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I'm also that host sometimes
not
too.
Making it your show, right? This is not your feature. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate to see that too. I was like, I did not come to see you do poems. I came to see the other people do poems, not you. The job of the host is the host. Yes.
Comedians always be trying to slide in a 5-minute set between each freaking person going up. Like, I see you, dog. Like, you transitioning? No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, like no.
There's another question in here if you guys have a hot second. Carlin's asking, what recommendations do you have for people who are aspiring to start their own art nonprofits?
Oh man, I
don't do it. Reconsider. Read some literature.
I mean, we're still
on the subject. You should.
We're still starting one. Okay, so I just based off of my experience of being part of a nonprofit that was being started and it crumbled. I was just part of it. I wasn't one of the creators, but I was definitely part of the original team. And I saw the work it took. And then starting the co-starting the Pigeon, which is not a nonprofit LLC, but still and Jacob did a lot of that work. I ain't gonna lie. I was just like, you want me to do what? Paperwork. And then now doing spoken lit. I just want to say, make sure you have the capacity. There's no true way to know, but just make sure you are ready to make time. But if you feel it, if you are really, just make sure your passion, like your heart is connected to it. Our heart is connected to the work we're doing. We're not just doing it because we're like, we should do something. We was like, there's a need for this. So we created it.
Yeah, your why has to be very strong. Yep. You have to have a very good why.
What's your why?
You know, because I mean, if it's to raise your platform and give you more visibility, then that's, you know, there's different ways to go about doing that. But I think that, you know, ultimately, if you're creating a space for others, then, you know, just continue to be that space to service others and give them an opportunity to speak their truth and be heard. You know, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. And moving in the art form, knowing that it's an inherently healing craft, I think when you operate like that, then the work and everything, it just becomes cyclical. You know, it's all the same thing. So
right. And take your time, do what works in the moment. It's like, okay, this is what we can handle right now, and we're going to handle that and make sure that this program we're doing in this organization is really awesome and strong and effective. And once you get that down to whatever makes sense to you, then move on to the next thing. But some people try to start large and then it's like everything comes tumbling down. So, you know, baby steps.
Also, really importantly, like don't sacrifice yourself for something, even no matter how important it is. You know, you got to take care of yourself first and foremost, in everything that you're doing. Like, you know, please take care of yourself. The organization will grow in 10 years the same way it'll grow if you push yourself to death in 5 or 7 years. You know, just it'll happen when it happens. Give things time and just go with that why, lead with that why, and everything else will fall in place.
Yes, yes.
Awesome tasting. That's good. I like the way that you're talking. You talked about the why in the beginning. So for everybody in the beginning who wasn't here, we talked about the why. So know your why. Why are you doing this? And know your why. That is the message for tonight, is to know your why. I would like to thank Matthew Cuban Hernandez and Miss Aleysha Wise Hernandez for joining us today. I am very, very grateful that you guys said yes. You are amazing. You have contributed to what people are calling a masterclass, and you truly are masters at what you do. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being true poets and being true to the poetry.
Thank you.
I hope to see you guys soon on another platform. I have posted your information here. I heard that Matthew has a new website that his wife released on his birthday. I saw it on social media. See, it's contributing. So it is definitely there. Matthew said he will send you some products. So you definitely want to reach out to him. Make sure you are following these people and finding out what they're doing. You can support us. You can follow us on all social media on Keep the Mic On. I let Facebook stay up all the entire time this time. This is going to be the last time that Facebook, if you do not get the Zoom link, you will not get the entire show. So this is going to be the last week that we do this. Make sure you can sign up for the links on our website, keepthemicon.com. And next week, I'm going to kick it to Danielle, the Girl Genius Read. We don't call her the Girl Genius for nothing. She's going to tell us who's coming next week. Tell us, Danielle.
My week is next week. Next week I have next week, because we brought this up on the prior segment with Let's Talk About the Book, we have Turtleberry is coming next week. And if you don't know who she is, she's out of Baltimore. She writes, she's a poet, but she also writes romance novels, and she has a ton, and she runs the most epic creative workshops you've ever taken in your life. So I'm gonna have her here next week to pick her brain about her writing process. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm excited about having her here.
Charity, do you want to say something? Charity didn't want to say nothing. I don't think Charity, you want to say something?
All I can say is that y'all are amazing.
Thank
y'all
you.
are outstanding. Y'all are phenomenal.com for your awesome art. Thank you for sharing and blessing us in this space. And yeah, I mean, all I can say is that I'm always getting put on by my sisters. Every time I turn around, they always bringing me and open me up to just awesome artists. So it's just adding to my catalog of people that for future, whenever things open back up, definitely got to get you out here in DC to do some stuff again. And so
say, come back when we get off quarantine.
Yes, like legit. Like it's really, I mean, we live in an interesting time, but I think the best thing that people can do right now also is capitalize off of this opportunity to network and be put in front of audiences that you probably wouldn't be put in front of on a regular Saturday night at a Busboys open mic. This is just amazing. So thank you. And yeah, Sherry, let me pop. Am I kicking it to Sherry?
Sherry's not on here right now, so I'll just say what Sherry would say. Sherry would say, if you like to support us with your coins, our Cash App is Keep the Mic On. Please continue to support us. Be safe. Wash your hands. She said it every week. Be safe and wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. And we are very thrilled.
Trying to get off punishment, y'all. Wash your hands.
Right. And wear your mask. Let me say wear your mask too. And wear your mask. Okay. Wear your mask too. And wash.
Too.
Yes. Be good to yourself and be good to other people. And
yes, wear your mask, y'all. Wash your hands. Stop playing games.
Stop playing games.
Stop playing.
Tell them, Charity.
South Carolina should not be number 3 in the world for COVID cases. Okay, y'all. Let's get it together.
But it is, though.
It is, but we gonna stop it, right? Because we gonna quarantine. So we gonna quarantine.
Okay, write some poems. Appreciate y'all. Bye, Facebook. Bye, Hernandez.
Bye, y'all. See y'all next week.
Bye, Maureen.